Hello everyone and welcome to the Knit Witch podcast. I am your host, the Knit Witch, and this is just a little show where I like to give you a glimpse into what has been happening in my creative life in the past week or so. Today might be a little bit of a longer episode just because I have so many things that I'm so excited to tell you about. So I think we should just jump right in so I don't keep you for any longer than I have to. So today's first item on the chopping block is a finished object that I actually have currently with me to show you. And if you watched last week, you will remember the really red socks that I have been working on. And so I have finished them and they've already been worn and washed. So they are a little bit damp right now just because I did wash them yesterday and they've been just like drip drying. It is a superwash yarn. I'm getting too ahead of myself, but it is a superwash yarn, but I prefer to hand wash my things. So let me just go right ahead and show you. I am so excited about these, you guys. So this is a pattern of my own design. I'm gonna try, they are a little damp. I'm gonna try and put my hand in and show you the stitch pattern, because that's, you know, the most important part. It is a ribbed sock as well. Let me cover my face. It is a ribbed sock as well, so it's a little bit hard to show. But I dyed the yarn myself. Let me see. I dyed the yarn myself and it's just this really red color that my boyfriend especially requested. I am losing my mind, but these are knit toe up with a heel flap and gusset. I am so sorry. It is so stormy out right now, so I'm sure you hear the wind chimes in addition to the wind. When I woke up this morning, it was 50 degrees and sunny, so I was like, oh my god, the perfect podcasting day. And of course, by the time I got all my stuff together, it is now a thunderstorm. So little diversion there, and all the happenings around me are a little bit distracting. I also have the overhead lighting on today, which I usually don't have, but because it is so stormy, it's just, there wasn't a lot of natural light, so everything was getting really washed out. So I hope that this lighting situation is okay. So yes, first finished object, and I kind of touched on this, but I didn't really finish my sentence because I'm apparently very bad at that. I designed the pattern myself and I'm probably going to be releasing it tomorrow. Today's Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday, which is most likely when you'll be watching this, Thursday. And so Friday the 12th, Friday, January 12th, I believe I'm going to be releasing this pattern. It's only one size circumference, but it is a ribbed sock, so kind of, in my opinion, that doesn't really matter because they stretch. Absolutely, they stretch. And it's toe up, so the length of the foot and the leg is totally up to you. You can just knit however long or short you want them to be. Toe up, heel flap and gusset, ribbed sock, my own design, my own hand-dyed yarn. I feel like there's more than I need to be saying about that. I finished these inside of a week. I cast these on January 1st and I finished them on either the 6th or the 7th. Don't remember quite which day I finished them on. But yeah, super happy that I actually have them to show you. New to me yarn base, which you'll hear more about in a minute. New to me yarn base. This is kind of like my tester to see how it takes up the dye, how well it wears, and they're a little dusty just because they've been worn, but they've been worn 2 or 3 days now, and there's like a touch of wear on the heel flap, but I think they're worn pretty well, so I do like this new yarn base. That is my first finished object. Still a little damp, so they are definitely going to chill me to the bone. Okay, let's move on to the whip section, and let me check my notes. Let us move on to something that you have seen before. This is my Cloudwatching sweater. Let me just pull it out. Let me just pull it out and show you. Now this is a little bit tricky for me to show just because I have 3 balls of yarn attached to it. Well, actually, I have 4 balls of yarn attached to it. So it's a little tricky for me to show, and I'm trying to keep it from being a tangled mess. But here we go. It is my pink mohair sweater. So I kind of don't want to go into this whole story again just because very long-winded, but I dyed the pink yarn myself, and I'm holding it with just a strand of like a silver or gray mohair, just to try to tone down the pinkiness of it. I love I love this sweater. I know I keep saying I'm not a person who wears pink, I'm not a person who wears mohair, yada yada. I can't wait for this to be done. I want to wear it. It's so soft, of course, because it's mohair. It's so warm, bordering on hot, because it's mohair. And I'm just so happy. I'm so happy with how the speckles are translating on this fabric. They just, I know my tail's in the way, I'm sorry. They just look like so, I don't know, so well dispersed, if I do say so myself. Last time I showed this to you, I had about an inch past the armpit. That's just like my metric of how far I've knit, I guess. And now I have about, let me see how well you can see. I have like 5 or so inches. I have about 4 or 5 inches past the armpit. So I have been working on this. It is brioche, so it takes quite a while to knit. And it's, you know, it's mohair, so it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world, or like the most mindless, so I really have to like dedicate time to work on it. But I've been trying to do like 4 rows a day minimum, just because I do love it. It's so soft, it's so pretty, and I feel it. I feel the change happening. I feel myself becoming a person who wears pink mohair sweaters. It's happening. And for now, for the rest of this episode, this will be my little lap warmer, because like I said, it's a thunderstorm out and it is freezing. So that is the only other thing that you have seen before. Let's move on to something I talked about before. So this is my, I keep calling it in my head and in my Ravelry project page, I keep calling it my Mussel Faker hat because it's kind of like a version of the Bur Hat. So I call this my Mussel Faker. And the reason why I call it that is because it's gonna be the same, I keep showing it to you, it's gonna be the same construction, like that long tube that gets stuffed inside itself. It's gonna be the same construction as a Bur Hat, except I'm using my own stitch counts and increases because I just don't like the cross-shaped or box-shaped crown that Isolde wrote in the pattern. I just don't like it. So I'm making it up as I go along, as I do. So this yarn is from Old Rusted Chair. It's in the shade, in the color Don't Forget Your Shades. And it's just, it's super, super washed out because I have this light from this window right here. So it is absolutely neon. And I was looking through my photos the other day because I was like, oh, I need to like insert a picture of the skein to show you guys because it's kind of hard to see with my camera and the light situation I have. I only have one photo of it in the skein and it's not a great photo. So I can insert that if I so choose. But it's not gonna do it justice. And I looked on Ravelry and only 2 people have it in their stash. I'm number 1 and another person's number 2. And our skeins are totally different looking. So I am so sorry. I can't really help you. understand the color better. It is a very, very like punchy neon color. It's got some like, I want to say they're fluorescent yellow, but I haven't tested it under a black light, but it's got some, let's see, how can I get this for you? It's got some very bright yellow. I'm trying to angle it in a way that you can see all the colors. It's got a lot of blue, some green, some nice hot pink in there as well. That's my little pinhole cast on. And then I just have done some circular or like spiralized crown increases. I know it's really tough to show, so I might have to take some B-roll footage for you guys. Just because the lighting in here, it's not doing it. So I have officially finished with the increases, and from now until the decreases, it is just plain vanilla stockinette. This is a single ply yarn, and I was gonna say it's my first time knitting with a single ply, but that's not true because I've knit with my own hand spun single ply yarn. It's my first time knitting with a commercial single ply yarn. I'm knitting this on a size US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter needle, and I'm really enjoying the fabric that I'm getting, and I cannot wait to, ooh, that's a better representation now that I just caught a view of it in the viewfinder. I found my view. That's a little bit better representation of the color of this yarn, but I will try and get some B-roll footage for you. I'm really excited about this hat, and now that it's all plain vanilla knitting or plain stockinette, this is going to become like my car ride knitting or my movie knitting or just like my in the dark knitting, because I don't have to worry about anything. All I do is just knit, and that is what I'm most excited about for that project. I mean, the colors, it's gonna be a hat. It is gonna be a statement of a hat. But I'm really excited about all of the inches and inches of plain vanilla stockinette that I'm gonna get to do. So, super excited about that. My Mussel Faker is what I'm calling it. So, the next whip that I have to show you is kind of another like easy vanilla knitting thing. And technically you have seen it before. These are the camo inspired socks that I'm trying to knit for my sister, or I'm not trying to knit them, I'm trying to get them to look like camo. My sister lives in Nebraska, and as I've previously stated, she is an outdoors woman through and through. So I'm trying to make this like camo-ish yarn. Last time it came out too bright. I can insert pictures of the pre-skein. It was just too green, too like light green, and it just wasn't translating the way that I wanted it to. So I dyed it a little bit darker. I don't have photos of the over-dyed skein. I can just like show it to you in a ball. And that's actually fairly true to color. I mean, this camera quality is not the best, so I do apologize, but it is, you know, let's see if I can get it in shadow. It is a fairly green ball of yarn. So this is the sole of the sock that I'm knitting for her. And then the front, I'm just doing a 3x1 broken rib. Now, I do apologize for this. Yeah, this lighting situation is not the best. I'm trying not to poke you guys with my needles. Oh my gosh, they're flying everywhere. Ooh, yeah, that's a little better. So yeah, it's just some dark green and lighter green micro stripes. Ooh. That's pretty good. Some dark green and some light green micro stripes. Dyed the yarn myself, and while I am not the most happy with it, it's fine. And it's going to be her first pair of hand knit socks, so I'm sure she'll love them. And what else do I need to say? This is another new to me yarn base that I was testing out, and I don't really like it that much, so this is just... You'll see it later, and I'll talk about it a little bit later when I get into the yarn dyeing portion of the podcast, but it's just not my favorite, and it's really, really thin. So I'm knitting with a US 0, which is a 2mm needle. So that's why these socks are taking me so long. I usually knit on a US 1 or a 2.25mm needle, so this is one size down from that, and I don't know, maybe it's placebo, but I feel like it's just taking me so dang long to knit these socks. So, not the biggest fan of this yarn base, not the biggest fan of the color that I've dyed on it, but whatever. They're socks. They're gonna be worn. Now this brings me to my last whip of the day. Last knitting whip, I should say. Oh, and it's actually a half-finished object. I totally forgot that I finished this. So on the day that I over-dyed this yarn, it was like this whole big dyeing day. A dedicated dye day. A nice alliteration there. And my boyfriend had requested some fingerless mittens that he could wear while he flies his drones. I talked about this a little bit last time too, but my boyfriend and my dad are both super into like drone flying and RC planes, yada yada, electrical boy stuff. And so he requested some fingerless gloves. His controller, I'm gonna get all of the words wrong because I don't really know much about flying. His controller, his joysticks, he pinches them like this. That's how he flies. I feel like most people would use it like a gaming controller and use their thumbs, but he pinches it. So he needed some fingerless gloves. And I asked him what color, and he said he doesn't care as long as it has contrast. And I was like, so helpful, thank you. So I dyed up this, like, it doesn't look like it has any contrast, thank you lighting. But I just dyed up this like lighter blue and darker blue with some charcoal gray splotches. Dyed that up for him. Maybe it'll show up better on the hoe. That's a little bit better. You can't really see the light blue. I mean, I guess you can a little bit. But yeah, so this is not any pattern. I'm just making it up as I go along, just kind of like writing it down in my notebook, all of my stitch counts and row counts and everything like that. We have very similar hand sizes, so I'll just model it on myself, but I just have this 2x2 cuff that's like pretty sizable, and then I have some ribbing up the hand into some more 2x2 ribbing on the fingers, and then the thumb, I just have this little like garter nubbin to end it out. Let me go like, just have that little like garter band to end it out, just so that the stockinette wouldn't roll. I didn't really want ribbing on the thumb for whatever reason, but you know, when you're pinching, I didn't want the roll of the thumb to like get in the way, so I just prevented the rolling by doing 2 rows of a garter stitch. So that's what they look like. I might have to wear this for the rest of the episode because it's so dang cold out. But yeah, so this is all I have of the second mitten. I finished the first one yesterday and I was like, okay, I just need to cast on the second one just so I have it started, you know? You feel like that sometimes. So that's my ball of yarn, my glove, and here it is. Probably should show it to you on this hand. I have literally 1.5 rows. There it is, the cuff of the second mitten. So I'm knitting these from cuff to finger. Is that technically bottom up? So I'm knitting these bottom up on a size US 3, which I believe is a 3.25mm needle. This is just 100% Peruvian Highland wool, non-superwash, in a DK weight, a size 3 needle, and it's giving me fairly good fabric. I really am enjoying this. I wanted it to be more of a tighter fabric because, you know, it's supposed to keep you warm, which is also why I chose non-superwash. even though, you know, he's really good about not throwing things in the washer or the dryer, stuff like that. He's really good about hand washing anything I tell him it needs to hand wash. So I'm not concerned that it is a non-superwash, but I believe, you know, a non-superwash wool is a much warmer wool, so that's why I'm knitting those in a non-superwash. And also, that's just what I prefer. I prefer a non-superwash, and wow, we are really foreshadowing the yarn dyeing segment of today's podcast, but I prefer a non-superwash yarn just because I'll knit with superwash if I have to, but mostly everything I knit is non-superwash. I just like to be, you know, as close to the sheep as possible. So that is it for my knitting whips. Okay, let's move on to spinning, and oh my gosh, I am so close. So I showed this last time, but this is the spin that I'm working on. I spin on a drop spindle, and it's just this like really gorgeous purple and blue. I'm trying to show you without all of the frickin' light. So sorry about this lighting situation. How many times can I say it? So this is a braid from Paradise Fibers. It is the colorway Mystic Forest. It's this really pretty purple and blue and pink and teal fiber. So I have it split. It was a 100-gram braid. This part is 50 grams. And this is all I have left to spin onto that first spindle before I ply it. Yeah. So this is like, what, 1 gram? And then this is 50 grams. And so this little bitty is gonna get spun onto this spindle. And then once I have an even, you know, 50-50 split, once the 50 grams are complete on this spindle, I'll wind it off probably onto a nitty knotty just so I can count my yardage a little bit better. Wind it off and then spin the other 50 grams and then ply it together. This will be my second ever plied yarn, which is kind of, you know, the goal of this spin. I just really want to get better at plying. I've been spinning for a really long time, for like a couple years. And speaking of spinning, it's getting super freaking popular right now, so I feel so mainstream. I used to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so cool, I like spin my own yarn, and it's like, whatever, you know? I used to feel like such a hipster, and now spinning has become so mainstream that I'm like, now people are gonna think I'm a trend hopper because I'm spinning and everyone's spinning. But yeah, that's the plan for this, just make a nice plied yarn. And I thought originally I was going to make some fingerless mitts for myself out of my hand spun, but now looking at my boyfriend's fingerless mitts, this ball is pretty much full. I haven't weighed it to see how much yarn that mitt took, but I swear it's gonna be like 10 or 15 grams, that mitt. So I'm not even gonna use half of that ball of yarn that I dyed, and I thought it would be so cute if I knit myself matching-ish fingerless mitts. I thought that would be so cute if we had a matching set. So I no longer think that this will become fingerless mitts. I'll probably make a hat because I could use a hat. So I'll probably make a hat out of this hand spun, and I'll probably make myself some matching fingerless mitts with my boyfriend. So cute. Okay, so now we have 2 segments left. I'm not sure which order to do them in. Do you guys want to see boyfriend knitting first, or do you want to see hand-dyed yarn? I think we should save the yarn for last, so let's do boyfriend knitting first. Last episode I was talking about how it was my boyfriend's birthday and I taught him how to knit, and he created, you know, a glorious blob. I don't think it was complete. I think he had a little bit left last time I showed it. Anyways, he finished that, and I can insert a picture of his first finished object, right? So he did that. Oh, my leg's falling asleep. So he finished that blob and was like, he had a couple moments with it, and then he was like, you know what, I think I'm ready. And he ripped it out and he was like, please teach me how to cast on. So I taught him how to cast on all by himself, and I'm about to show you his second finished object. I'm so proud. So you saw the first, first item, which it was great for a first time knitter, right? Get ready. Prepare to be amazed. So this is his second ever finished object, and I feel like you can already tell he has made an immense improvement. So it's gonna be hard to show because it is just really long. But so he did drop a stitch and I just tied it off for him. He dropped a stitch on the first row, so, and then never picked it up, and he like showed it to me 5 rows later and was like, I think I messed up. I was like, okay. So, oh no, my leg's asleep, I have pins and needles. He cast on 12 stitches and he ended with 12 stitches. Now the stitches on this top end, they are live because we just slid it off the needle, because I was like, do you want me to show you how to cast off? And he was like, no. I was like, okay. So we just slid it off the needle, and we can slide it back on if he wants to learn how to cast off. So we slid it off the needle, and I'm just like keeping it all folded up in my room. It is so beautiful. I am so stinking proud of this kid. Look at his gauge, his tension. Look at the edges. Do you know how hard it is to get garter stitch edges this beautiful? This kid is a dang natural. He's a natural born knitter. So, yep, we got the live stitches at the top, and I'm just keeping it all nice and folded up. I'm keeping it in my room, but I brought it out here to show it to you. This yarn is, I think it's Lion brand, 100% acrylic, but it has a rainbow stellina, which you may or may not be able to see. So, yeah, I'm so proud of him. I don't know if he'll want to keep this as like a memento, or if he'll want to like rip it out and knit with the yarn again, because that's what I would do. I'm just a person who rips it out and knits with it again over and over. But this is his second finished object, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud. He's done such a good job. I'm so proud. Let me show you his work in progress. So I have just been giving him, like, I don't get rid of any yarn, so I have a lot of yarn from when I was first learning to knit. So I have been kind of donating that to him. Sneak peek. This is, I know for sure that this is Lion brand. And this is actually the yarn that I knit one of my first ever hats out of, I believe, if I remember correctly. I know what I knit. It was actually my older sister's pattern that she wrote. I knit it with this yarn and it came out horrible. But I can't remember if that was like the first hat I ever made or just one of the first hats I ever made. So, tangent aside, this is what he's working on. I know. I have him going on circular needles because that's all I have. And I don't want him on double points. I feel like that would just be a recipe for disaster. So I have him on circular needles. So it's a little bit wily to show with the cord. But this is his second or third knitting work. He cast on all by himself, totally all by himself, did not even ask for help. He remembered how to do it, which I'm just so impressed. So proud. So like for this one, I was like next to him, walking him through, being like, you go up the thumb, down the finger, down the thumb, blah, 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 blah. So on the white one, I was like sitting next to him, walking him through it. And then this one, he just like, I gave him the yarn and the needles and he just like started it all by himself, cast on, I think it's 14 stitches. I'm not gonna count, but I think it's 14 stitches. And then just started knitting. And he was like, did I do this right? And I was like, dang, dude. Freaking genius. Freaking genius. So this is his work in progress, and I can tell, because I know him, he was really stressed. You can tell by the gauge a little bit. He was really stressed for this part. And then I feel like there's a nice like demarcation line here, and this is like a different day of knitting, and he was much more relaxed this day. Some little errors here and there, but oh my god. Look at this. Look at this, you guys. I am so proud. Oh. He's a natural. So proud of him. So that concludes boyfriend knitting. That concludes boyfriend knitting for today. Let's move on to the yarn dyeing segment. So if you don't know, I dye most, if not all, of my own yarn, and I also sell it on Etsy. I always have links to my Etsy shop and my Instagram in the description of the video. I hate self-promotion, so it always feels weird to say that. I'm like, if you find it, that's your Easter egg, you know? If you find it, good on you. I'm not gonna talk about it. But I thought that I probably should talk about it. So I've had 2 or 3 like full dye days since last we spoke. One of them was like for my sister's yarn and my boyfriend's yarn. And on that same day, I actually dyed up a full fade set. I can insert pictures, or you can search for the Etsy listing. I hate self-promotion. So that was one day of dyeing, and then another day, I'm gonna show you from a different day of dyeing. This was like a full sock yarn day. So these 2 skeins kind of have a story with them. So I woke up the other day and I was thinking, I was like, I need to create a blue and orange colorway, which let me show you that first. I'm like, I need to create a blue and orange colorway, and I need to create a purple and green colorway. I don't know why, those are just the colors that were in my head. I'm like, that's what I need to make. So this one is the, I forgot how poorly this camera does with the color blue. So it looks green, and there is green in there, but it's mostly blue. So this is, oh gosh, that looks horrible on camera, but this is my blue and orange colorway, which is just not translating at all. How? Oh my gosh, I'm looking in the viewfinder, but oh my gosh, that's just not it. Let me insert some photos for you, but this is, this is blue and orange. It did not come out anything like my vision. Let me just preface that. Did not come out anything like my vision, but I love the way it came out. So that was a nice little happy accident there. And then speaking of happy accidents, this, you're gonna look at me like, Katie, what the heck? But this is my purple and green colorway, which did not come out purple and green. And actually, this is like some of my favorite yarn that I have ever dyed. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So it started off purple and green, and then there were just some reactions that I did not anticipate. Like when the purple dried, it turned red, and so I just had a red and green colorway, and I was like, that's not what I wanted at all. So I had to go back in and over dye it, and it's just like the perfect like mossy green. It's got browns, it's got blacks, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And I can't even, it just doesn't translate on video, but I just need you to know some of the most favorite yarn I've ever dyed, and like I don't even want to sell it. I don't even want to sell it. I just want to keep it and hoard it and love it. I love it so much. It's so pretty. And I'm so sorry that my camera quality is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to show you all these yarns and be like, look at how beautiful they are. And I'm like, I need to insert pictures because it's so pretty, and just, it doesn't even really, that shade, sorry, I'm getting so excited. It doesn't even really translate in pictures either. I feel like you have to see it in person to just like see all of the little streaks of brown and light green, and then it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So these 4 are all for sale in my Etsy shop, as well as the fade set that I dyed. And now I'm going to show you some yarn that I've dyed up for myself. So this, it's twisted so horribly, so please don't judge me. But it's for me, so whatever. I don't really care. This is another, oh, it looks so bad. this is another new to me yarn base that I'm testing out. This is a non-superwash sock yarn. And I love it so much. It's just really, it's not translating because like I said, my camera does horribly with blue, but it's just this like dip dyed dark blue and light blue with black speckles, and the black broke. So the black gives you like purple and orange. Instead of being a black speckle, it gives you purple speckles and orange speckles. It's really interesting to say the least. But yeah, I think I'll be making socks with this. I mean, it is a sock yarn, but that doesn't mean you have to knit socks. But I do want to test out how well it wears for socks. And I haven't knit myself socks in quite some time. I believe the last pair I knit for myself was over the summer. So I could use another pair of socks. But it looks so pretty. And I don't think I have any photos. Maybe I do. If I do, I'll pop them in. But it looks so pretty and it's just not translating. And now I'm getting so discouraged because I wanted to brag about my pretty yarn and it's just not, it's not braggable on camera. It just doesn't look as pretty as it looks in person. So now here's a real test because I hate wasting things. So I have yarn mops, as some people call them. I call them my cauldron cleanup because, you know, the knit witch dyes her yarn in a cauldron, right? So for my cauldron cleanup, I have, let's see, I'm really struggling to grab it out of my bag. And these two skeins are still on the zip ties because I will be dyeing them again. Ooh, see, this comes out very true to color. So this is just like this really pretty peachy orange color. Is it better back here? And it's very uneven, but that's kind of on purpose. And this was a cold process dye, which was a new to me technique. And I'm super happy with how this came out. This is kind of exactly the orange I was envisioning when I had my little like blue and orange vision. This was the orange that I wanted, and instead I got this, but it's fine because I love the way that came out. Yeah. So again, horrible camera quality, but just this, you know, super pretty peachy orange and yellow yarn. So that's number one. I think I'm going to be doing some red and some yellow speckles on there. Maybe black. We'll have to see. And then the cauldron cleanup skein number two, I love. It's so pretty. So this was my yarn mop when I was making my dye stocks. So it got a lot of just like little speckles of the full rainbow on it, and then I did use it to soak up some extra green from this guy, or those two guys. So it started off with rainbow speckles, and then it got over dyed with green, and oh, it came out so pretty. And again, this camera does not do well with colors. So 2024, I gotta invest in that, but oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see, there's like some yellow right there, and I think like right there. And then there's blue, and there's black, and there's red, there's some orange in there too. I love this so much. And it's just, how can I describe to you how beautiful this is? I don't get it. It's just, you know? So this will be getting, I want to put more rainbow speckles because I just love the way that looks. I'm going to sprinkle on some more speckles on that guy. So unfortunately, that concludes the yarn dyeing segment of the podcast. And what the heck, now I wish that I had done boyfriend knitting last, because then I would have ended on a happy note instead of an irritated note because my camera quality is so poopy. But again, self-promotion, which I can feel myself getting flushed at. You can find hand-dyed yarns on my Etsy shop. You're always welcome to request a custom order. I will try and put in photos to do the yarn justice, because it's just not on camera. Not with this camera, you know? It's just not. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I've been working on. Some knitting, as you saw, some spinning, as you saw, some dyeing, as you could not see. And then let's talk about boyfriend knitting again. Look at how good it is! We gotta end on a happy note, right? I look like I have been injured in a car accident and I better call Saul. But some boyfriend knitting, yeah, that lightens the spirits, right? Now that my spirits are lightened, I do want to just give a big thank you to everyone who has been watching the podcast and everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I am like astonished to see that number growing. It just, wow. I never anticipated, I never really saw, like, for the channel to be, you know, growing this much in such a short period of time. It's only been like a month, I think less than a month since I recorded my first podcast. It's just, wow, it's shocking, but it's such a happy moment, you know? Thank you to everyone who followed me on Instagram or followed my Etsy store or reached out to me. If you've reached out to me, thank you so much. Especially Chrissy. Thank you for that. Your message really meant a lot, and you know, it just fills my heart with so much joy when you guys reach out or follow me or do anything, interact with me in any way. It just brings me so much joy, and I feel like that's, you know, the main reason why I'm making the podcast in the first place, is that I can, you know, share bits of myself with you guys with similar interests, you know? Because I don't really have that much of a knitting community where I live. So it's just nice to have that kind of online. And it's almost like our own little knitting circle, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who has interacted with me in any way, shape, and form. Thank you just for watching the video, honestly. And on that happy and positive note, that is going to be where I leave you for today. And you know what? I was gonna say it stopped storming, but the wind is still going strong, so I think it's just stopped raining for now. But perfect timing. And I will see you very soon in the next episode. And until then, I hope you all enjoy your making.